What if I told you Analogue released a new limited game system with an original cart that could impact new releases on the Genesis, and nearly no one is discussing it? This is Retro Impressions Analogue Hyperdub Special Edition. First up, a bit of history. If there's one thing you might not be aware of regarding video games and myself, it's my passion for the music included in them. For multiple decades now, I've dreamed about a pass-through video game cart that would allow the user to access music on every single game for the Genesis, essentially turning games into standalone music albums. It's something that's never been realized, however, I'm far from alone in my love of chiptunes, as evident by the numerous video game soundtracks seeing a physical release on vinyl and other physical mediums. So while my idea hasn't come to pass, there is a small dedicated group of individuals whose passion for the hardware has resulted in a continuous stream of new music for various abandoned home systems. Even smaller yet is those who choose to release this music in physical cart format. All accounts of the first dedicated album on a physical cartridge point to Alex Maurer, who released 2 albums on the NES in 2007. Vegavox was a solo affair, while Color Caves featured Phlogiston. Even if you're not familiar with the scene, the name should sound familiar. Alex Maurer seems to have fallen off the face of the earth after a very public dispute over money she felt she was owed for her work on the game Star Mazer. Instead of going after the company itself, Maurer issued manual takedown and copyright strikes against every single channel who played, reviewed, or discussed the game. Within 2 weeks, her actions had resulted in over 100 unique channel strikes. The biggest creators on the platform, including Total Biscuit, Sid Alpha, and Jim Sterling, quickly signal boosted the issue, but it remained a mess for months. The situation only ended after Leonard French joined the Star Mazer development team and issued a restraining order against Alex Maurer, which blocked her from issuing any more DMCA takedowns. Alex would ultimately lose the case by not showing up to court and disappeared from the internet in 2017. The whole point being, she's rather well known for the wrong reasons, though she's also the pioneer of an obscure music medium that appears to be growing in popularity. In 2017, Maurer was becoming more well known for the right reasons, with another highly anticipated release scheduled for the NES, which would never come to be as she withdrew from public life, canceling all projects following the Star Mazer debacle. So while the NES and Game Boy continue to receive the largest share of physical music releases and remain the systems 99% of people think of when discussing new music on old hardware, the Mega Drive is starting to make some major waves. The first known release was today by Australian artist Freezedream in 2010. Not only did he pave the way for future releases on the Genesis, he continues to be active in the Mega Drive chiptune scene. His second dedicated Mega Drive release is coming nearly 1 decade later in the form of Tanglewood, the original soundtrack, Cart, due out in 2020. A number of projects have come and gone, usually without any press or fan service, and quantity so low, they're often sold out by the time word reaches those who don't live and breathe this stuff. Notable albums for the Mega Drive include Catskull's various artist album, YM2017, which also received a vinyl release, Future 2612 by Dead, and Technoptimistic by Remute. I think it's safe to say that of all albums released on cart form, the Genesis has the 2 best known of the bunch, with YM2017 and the hugely popular Technoptimistic, which is available via third-party stores such as Stone Age Gamer. So, with 2019 closing out, and around a half a dozen albums released on the cartridge format, the Genesis ended up with the final one for the year. In order to get this album, you're required to purchase the Mega SG Hyperdub Limited Edition, which runs $250 plus shipping. This is limited to 1,000 units, but it's still in stock as of the making of this video. One thing you'll notice right away if you own the standard Mega SG is the difference in box size and the unique label. The form factor remains the same, though the Hyperdub is housed in a smoke gray translucent shell that's absolutely gorgeous. The branding is quite sharp as well, making it much more visually pleasing in comparison to the standard unit. The Hyperdub comes with a matching controller. One unfortunate bit about this is the inability to get a matching set, as it's only available with the console, and this package only comes with 1 controller. When the Genesis 8-bit DOE controllers launched, I wrote a review in which I expressed my displeasure and frustration with it, In my opinion, it was unusable. Thankfully, the controller has seen updates that have largely addressed these problems, resulting in a controller that I now feel is worth owning. In fact, I have a Mega Drive 2 hooked up to a PVM used for testing games in my Definitive Analysis series, and this is the controller I use with that system. Now, I don't want to get too far off the track here, but my main controller is the Joys by Crix. It's a perfect wireless replica that feels high quality and performs better than anything else on the market, but at twice the cost of the 8-bit DOE. As Todd Gill pointed out in an article on Retro RGB, the difference in latency between the two is under a millisecond, so most likely not enough to notice. Prior to holding this new 8-bit DOE controller in my hand, I felt the Joys was the best looking controller ever produced for the Mega Drive. And while I still prefer it, I'm shocked at what a little translucent plastic and branding can do for the desirability of a product. I couldn't be happier to own this and fully recommend the 8-bit DOE to those considering it. The final thing of note in this box is the cartridge itself, an exclusive limited release album containing various artists titled Consolization. The cart contains 11 songs and is of interest for more reasons I'll get into in a moment. So while we're at it, we might as well compare the boot screen of the standard Mega SG to the Hyperdub. I didn't expect much, but I think it's a nice touch. So let's get to the cart. The first thing you're greeted with is a very simple menu and rather boring background. You can select songs, pause, play, and adjust the volume from your controller. While I'm not going to play the songs for you, I can say that it's shockingly clear. Maybe too clear.
'Cause you'll never know me. How can I know this?
So I was wondering if the Mega SG was doing something special real hardware couldn't replicate. It turns out it's not. This cart plays in a Genesis, 32X, and Genesis 2 without issue. So how exactly did we end up with 11 tracks of audio that are clearly producing a sound we've never heard using original hardware? A hint lies within the cartridge case itself. If you look at the back, you can clearly see a micro SD slot with custom branded card. It makes me think that it's Analogue's intention for the curious user to take this apart and explore, so that's exactly what I did. Popping the SD card into a computer revealed all songs that are included were in a 16-bit WAV format. At this point, I hopped online and saw Catskull, the creator of the YM2017 Genesis album, was also looking this thing over and had discovered some very interesting information. If the user replaced the card with a clean one containing the same file names but different tracks, the Genesis would play them. In fact, up to this point, the music you've been listening to has been captured using a real Mega Drive and this cart. The music is all from non-Sega Genesis releases. So how exactly is this possible? To fully understand what's going on here, it's essential to understand the Genesis sound capabilities. It contains two sound chips. The Texas Instruments SN76489 was included as part of Sega's drive to maintain backward compatibility with prior hardware. The SN7689 is contained in the SG-1000, 1002, Mark III, Master System, Genesis, Pico, and all other handhelds Sega would produce. This chip is capable of 4 channels of audio, 3 square wave tone generators, and 1 noise generator. The Genesis also contains the Yamaha YM2612. The chip is capable of 6 channels of sound, or 10 in total when combined with the SN76489. When using the YM2612, the user has the choice of 6 channels of FM synth sound, or they can replace channel 6 with an 8-bit stereo digitized sample. Of course, space limitations at the time meant that this feature was sparingly used, though there are some notable examples as all voice samples use this channel, as does some music tracks.
Are you ready? Yeah! Cool! Are you ready?
So back to the Hyperdub release. It appears that it's a fairly standard cart, with the audio being streamed to the PCM via the micro SD. In other words, the console is doing all the work, utilizing the channel capable of playing samples to handle the information stored on the SD cart. So no FPGA, no special chips, just more storage, allowing for an album's worth of music at the highest quality possible using the Genesis chipset. To me, it's clear. This is a discovery that will open the door to more complex cartridge-based music projects down the road. A few more things to note before I wrap things up. The cart seems to have added noise when used in tandem with a 32X. Also, if you get your hands on this and decide to experiment, know that it's a bit temperamental. I had to get Catskull's assistance to resolve a problem I was having after switching out tracks. The final bit is that the menu is hard-coded, so the track names will always remain the same regardless of what you replace them with. That's it for now. I've left links in the description so you can check out Hyperdub, Catskull, who also makes games and other hardware, along with Freezedream's new Tanglewood OST project. Until next time, thank you for watching Retro Impressions.